Hello, this is Rod with Win by Doing, coming to you today with another Gimp video. I know it's been a long time coming. I have been neglecting my Gimp audience, and I do apologize for that. Summer has been keeping me pretty busy. Many of you know I I have a full-time job. We also run ice cream trucks and concession stands. It's our summer business. It's winding down, so hopefully I'll be able to put more content out in this regards. I hate to use the excuse that I've been busy, but I have, as well as maintaining my online reselling ventures and yeah, it's just been a busy summer. So without further ado, today we're going to talk about distressing. I believe I have an actual example here. Let me I think I have one that I've actually downloaded. Actually, let me go back over here. I'll just pull up an image out of my file, and we'll go from there. I should have been prepared with this just to give you an example of what we're talking about this evening. And I've just got to find the folder that my example is in, and then we'll go from there. Here we go. If you've ever thought about doing any type of designs where you wanted to give this distressed look, whoa, here is what we are talking about. Let's zoom in on that. Fail. And basically taking out some areas like it's been worn over time. That's what we're going to go over this afternoon. We're using Gimp. Every video editing software has different ways of doing this, and some of them make it a little bit easier. Gimp's a little tricky. Once you get used to it, you'll be able to do it on the fly. Keep in mind, I have not done this in a while, so if I do have to backtrack a few times, remember I am not a professional. I am just someone that uses this software and wants to pass on the knowledge that I come across onto y'all out there in YouTube land, whether you're doing it for your own personal pleasure, learning the software, or if you're actually coming up with t-shirt designs for merch by Amazon. That's what I primarily started using a lot of these techniques with. Hopefully you'll be able to follow in my own layman's terms how to move through this, and then we'll go from there. As far as obtaining images that I use in this process, I'm on the cheap. My goal is to do, create my designs with as little money out as possible. So you'll see that some of the images I'm using are not, I'm not buying the higher def, higher resolution images to fit the page, and we work around that, especially for this purposes. Anyway, without further ado, let's get going on here. As you can see, I do have Gimp open. I'm just going to pick a photo that I have, or an image that I have, and I'd already gone through this. Let's go with this. I have this guitar. Yes, this is something I did sell on eBay. If you did come here for eBay or reselling related stuff specifically, this may not be the video for you. I've been trying to change the color of my GIFs for my YouTube videos. If you see yellow, it's typically going to be resale related. If it's green, it's typically going to be Gimp. And if it is blue, it's going to be the ice cream or summertime small business. So before we get going on this, I don't like having all this background in here. So first thing I'm going to do is go in, and I want to clear all that out. As you've heard me talk before, I'm always going to give it a alpha channel, and that's basically going to give me the transparent background. And I'm going to use my scissors select tool here, because I want to try to get what my goal is to get everything cut out of the image as I possibly can. This particular the guitar, it has some pretty hard edges on it, so the scissor tool is just going to work just fine. Sometimes I'm going to go way over here and look at that. It still took it. I got lucky that time. But if it doesn't, you'll see me taking, like right here in this line right here, we just grab right there in the middle somewhere and drag it back over into the curve there, and it sinks it right back up. Here up here, the scissor tool, it pretty much is looking for some hard edges. It caught the hard edges of this mountain and the scenery of that guitar. So we're going to bring it back out to the actual hard edge and finish it out. And then to finish it out completely, we're going to click right back on the last point of reference we had. I actually brought that up too far. Now I'm just going to click right inside, and basically what happens on this layer, we have what we just cut out highlighted or selected. I don't want to, if I hit delete there, it's going to cut out the guitar. I want to leave the guitar. So some of this is just review. We're going to come up here to select and invert the selection. And now if I hit the delete button, you'll notice that everything outside of the guitar is gone. So let's go ahead and put, we'll go to select none, and then there's what we are left with our image. I'm going to go ahead and I want to move this down just a little bit. I'm going to put some words up there. Let's say we want to add, I want to resize it. We're just covering some of the other techniques that I've used in the past. We're going to make this scale, and this little crossbar here, we're going to move that back up. And it looks like I did forget to over here. You see we have a floating selection. I'm going to right click on that and do it to a new well, let's just anchor the layer. If I did it to a new layer, it would have created a new layer on top of this giant background. If you notice right down here below, I cut off part of the guitar. Let's just go ahead and delete that. Select it and delete. And let's throw some text up here. And I'm going to go ahead and put guitar. Ooh, look at me already forgetting to go in and sorry about that. Let's make it bigger than that. Let's make it about 300. Let's see how big that is. Guitar. And I'm going to go ahead and resize this so I can see it. And let's, I think I want to go with a little bit different font. Do anything a little bit more blocky. The only reason I want to make let's use this one right here. Guitar player. I'll move my little area there. Let's put, and let's go down here on the bottom, and we're going to put another text box, same thing, and we're going to type in, go ahead, guitar players rock. Okay, that might be just a little bit cheesy, but there it is. Let's select none. Okay, now I just like to double click the borders on these text things, and it pretty much sucks everything back in. And then, you know what, they're not centered. I use my little centering tool here, and we're right there. Let's click on that, and then my tool option over here pops up, and let's center that. And now I'm going to just move it down. If I'm just going to move in little bitty steps, I'll just make sure that it's clicked on, and then I'll just use my arrows on my keyboard. Well, let me select it first. And then let's go back here, center the top text again. And my centering tool, oh, there it is. Click on it, and then where's my dialogue? There, double click on your toolbox icon, and the dialogue will pop up. And there you see it did center it. This just is left justify, right justify, center left and right, and you have top, right, top, bottom, and center there. And then you can they have distribution as well. I think I want to go ahead and move that down just a little bit. So let's just say this is your design. Oh, I neglected to select the layer that guitar players is on, so I could move it around. Now, I'm just using my up and down keys there. So next thing I'm gonna do is merge this down, and basically now I merge the guitar players into the same layer as the rock. So now that's one layer, and now I'm gonna merge this down because you know what? I love this design. That's how I'm gonna leave it. And this is what we're going to distress. And once you get done, we're going to go out to Google. If my browser ever pops up. What you're going to want to do is, I'll bring my browser over a little bit. This will all make sense in a bit. We want to go out and search on Google for wrinkled paper. You probably get different. It's something to that effect. I mean, if you want it to look more like ocean waves, I've never experienced or experimented with it, but you can try different textures. But here we're going to do wrinkled paper because this is what I typically use. And all of these are going to give you different aging effects, but I would go with white just to make it a little bit easier. Let's go with and get as large of a resolution as you possibly can. That one's pretty good size. It's I'm not even gonna worry about the oh, I like that one. That's smaller. I'll show you why. Let's go ahead and say we love that one. That's the one we want to use. We'll take this wrinkled paper 3. Let's title it that. Now we're going to come over here to our image, and you're gonna go up File, Open as Layers, because you don't want to override it. And we just named it Wrinkled Paper 3, which I don't know why. Where'd my Wrinkled Paper 3 go? Let's see, Show in Folder, and it went to, very interesting. It's in my downloads. But I don't see it. I must have named it something else. We're going to go ahead and grab, oh, there it is. I just found it. Wrinkled Paper 3 right there. So because it was a lower resolution, this is how small it's made it. And you know what? You can deal with this. And I'll just show you how, just because this is how I started, and you'll run into the same thing. First of all, I'm going to add a alpha channel to that so it has a transparent background. You will need that later. One of two things. You can scale it a little bit using our scale tool right here. Make sure that you can see that. Yeah, right here. It's like the little diamond with a bigger, or a little rectangle with a bigger rectangle. And you can scale it a little bit. I wouldn't scale it too large, just because you're going to lose some of that. It's gonna be your own preference, and it'll all make sense once we get further. So basically, I'm gonna go ahead and select, my dog's going crazy upstairs. I'm gonna select this, and I'm just gonna do a Control C. That's copy. Control V and paste. And look, we pretty much created another copy of that. But what I want to do is create a new layer. That way we can move it around. We're trying to make this where it's going to be able to cover everything. So now, you know, I've pretty much got that pretty set. Let's go ahead and merge that down. Merge that down. We're just going to combine those two images. And you can do the same thing. And this is really so that we're just doing the whole thing over. We're copying, we're making we're making a bigger copy. I'm going to merge this down. This is just to speed it up. You could have copied the dang thing, you know, 8 times if you want to. But I find it just as easy to do it 4. Let's make sure we anchor that layer. No, I didn't want to anchor it, sorry. We want to a new layer. And then we're going to merge that down because we're going to work with all this together. So merge down. And I'm going to stretch it out because what we're going to do eventually, we're going to take this and we're going to rotate it. And I want to make sure that covers everything when we rotate it. So actually, you know what? This is completely. You can do it. You can a lot of these steps in here as far as resizing and rotating. You can do that. However, whatever looks good to you. But we're going to make this one. We're going to make a copy of this one. Let's see. I'll just copy it here. Control C, Control V, and we're going to do to new layer. And this one we're going to rotate, and then I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. That way that you don't have any repeating lines, and you'll see where we go with this here in a few. And then where's my rotate dialog boxes over here? We're going to go ahead and hit rotate. So there you see we have that layer that we did first, and then we have this one that we just rotated. Because I want this to cover everything, I'm just going to make this one a little bit bigger, and it's going to, again, it's going to change the patterns up a little bit. So we just change the scale with the scale tool over here in the toolbox. And we'll bring this one back in, and then I'm going to merge these down. And so now we have our wrinkled paper that's going to cover the entire image here. And then let's play around with this. I'm going to go ahead and hide that just so, well, I'll leave it visible. It doesn't really matter. Just make sure that you have the wrinkled paper or whatever you named your wrinkled paper layer. Make sure you have that one highlighted. We're going to go up here to, I'm not going to explain what all of these things do, but I'll just show you how they work. We're going to go to levels. Once you hit levels, this is going to pop up. I'm going to move this a little bit out of the way. And you can play around with this, you know, bringing this white one down. It brightens it up. And this brings out the, I just realized something. We're going to have to go back just a minute. So I told you it had been a little bit since I'd done this. I'm going to hit cancel here. I want these to be individual layers, and I'll show you why here in a minute. Okay. We're going to do this to each one. So let's focus on this. I'm going back to, if you're wondering the shortcuts I use to separate that, I just hit Control Z until, and that's undo until it undid all the steps until we had both of our individual layers over here. So I'm going to go back over here to levels, and as I already mentioned, because I jumped the gun, we're going to brighten up those whites, and we're going to come over here to this little triangle. So the right triangle with the white, we brighten that white up, and over here we're going to darken or highlight the dark areas. And you can just kind of slide. Basically, you're wanting as many of those little black spots as you possibly can, for lack of a better word. or description. And then we're going to hit OK. And now you're going to see the magic happen. We're going to take our toolbox and we're going to go in here to the color selector. And I'm going to select anywhere in that white. And I'm going to go up here to select. And we're going to invert that again, so that now we're selecting the black areas in that wrinkled paper. Now this is the important piece here. Go over to your guitar and then just hit the delete button. And I'll show you what happens. Let me hit select none so you can see. You see we didn't do anything to the white paper. But now if you look at the guitar, all those places that we had selected have been deleted because we had the guitar selected when we did it. As well as in the words up here. Now we're going to take our other layer, and this one we need to make, I want to make sure that it covers the more of the guitar. So I'm just going to resize this image. Again, this is stuff that you can play around with. Here I'm just trying to show you the concept and to try to simplify it a little bit. And I'm going to scale that. Now it'll cover up the entire guitar. And even though we use the same paper, wrinkled paper image, it's going to completely transform the image even further because we resized it, we rotated. So let's go up here to colors, levels, and we're going to play with this again. Highlight that black, bring in those whites back in, and then I'm going to hit OK. Let's go over to our color selector, select anywhere in the white. Now we're going to select at the top menu. We're going to invert, which is going to invert our selection, and then again we're going to click over here in our layers dialog or layers box. We're going to click the guitar layer and then just hit the delete key, and then we're going to hit select none, and then there you have it, folks. There is Guitar Players Rock. Distressed design. And again, you know, it all depends on your how you do it. It's going to look completely different. You're not, you know, I went out there and just grabbed some images off the web. I wasn't worried for the wrinkled paper. I wasn't worried about the copyright or anything because I wasn't using the image itself. I was just using it as a guide to cut out of my own image. I'm going to go ahead and add a new image, a new layer in here. And let's go ahead and take that layer. I want to move it down to the bottom. I'm just going to show you how it might look on, say, a yellow shirt. I'm just going to bucket fill my that background layer. Let's see what how blue looks like. Bucket fill. There you go. And I don't know if I'm kind of pretty much colorblind, so I want to say that's gray. So there you have it, folks. Again, if you have any other questions on how to do some of this stuff, feel free to drop me an email or you know, or just message me in the comments down below. If you thought this video sucked as far as knowledge, you know what? I gave you the disclaimer up front that I am a novice, I am a beginner, but I am someone that as soon as I learn something, I want to share it with others and hope that some of you got something out of it as well. I hope you're able to incorporate this distressed look in some of your designs and perfect it for your own use. But anyway, again, on all my videos, I do primarily reselling, but I am trying to distinguish the Gimp by changing the color of the header on my mind just went blank. The images that represent my video. So anyway, that's it. We'll catch y'all next time. Again, comments down below if you'd like me to do another video on something else. If you have any ideas what you'd like to see, I am more than happy to share that with you. Peace out.